I never expected my 18th birthday to change my life forever. It was supposed to be a simple trip, just me and my family heading to our country home for the summer, a break from the city, a little fresh air, and time by the ocean. I had always loved the water, but something about this place felt different. Maybe it was the way the waves crashed against the shore, or how the sea seemed to stretch endlessly. Or maybe it was the strange feeling I had every time I got too close, like the water was calling to me. I ignored it at first. Then on the day of my birthday, I decided to go for a swim alone. As I swam in the ocean, I felt weightless, untouchable, the gentle current pulling me further. But then something went wrong. A strong wave hit me, dragging me under. I tried to fight it, but the ocean had other plans. My chest burned, my vision blurred, and for a moment, everything went black. When I woke up, I was on the shore, coughing up water. A boy was kneeling beside me.
You're okay? I got to you just in time.
His name was Kale. He told me he had seen me struggling and pulled me out before it was too late. After that, we kept running into each other. We quickly became inseparable. He was warm, mysterious, and always seemed to know more than he let on. But most of all, he had a strange obsession with the sea. As the days passed, he taught me how to swim properly. Under his guidance, I became fearless, swimming further and deeper. At first, it was just basic swimming lessons, floating, kicking, but then something strange started happening. One day, I went to swim alone and I noticed that the deeper I swam, the longer I could hold my breath. My hair felt different, like it was growing faster, and under the sunlight, I swore I saw flashes of something shimmering on my skin. I kept it to myself at first, but curiosity got the best of me. I started researching, searching for anything that could explain what was happening. Everything pointed to one word: mermaid. It didn't make sense. Mermaids weren't real. I wasn't some mythical creature. I was just me. I tried telling Kale about it, but every time I brought it up, he brushed it off. He'd change the subject or suddenly remember something urgent he had to do. Why didn't he want to talk about it? And why did it feel like someone was watching me every time I got near the water? A swimming tournament was announced. A local swimming competition. I hadn't planned on joining, but something told me I needed to. Maybe if I swam in front of Kyle, if he saw what happened to me, he wouldn't be able to avoid the truth anymore. I convinced him to join too. After some hesitation, he agreed. The day of the tournament, I felt off, like something big was about to happen. We dove in, the water cool against my skin. I swam harder than I ever had before, pushing myself to the deepest part of the ocean. And then I felt my body shift. Because I wasn't holding my breath anymore. I was breathing underwater. I looked down at myself, at the iridescent scales covering my body, at the long flowing hair drifting around me. I wasn't human anymore. But then I looked at Kyle, and to my complete shock, he wasn't staring at me in horror. Because he was changing too.
Don't freak out. I've always been a merman.
I stared at him, my mind struggling to process what was happening.
I didn't know how to tell you, but I knew you were a mermaid from the moment I saved you.
He explained everything. How mermaids and mermen had been hunted down years ago, how their kind had almost gone extinct, and how he had only discovered his true identity after turning 18 2 years ago.
You're the first mermaid I've seen in years.
I barely had time to process his words. I had to tell my parents. They had to know something. That night, I confronted them, and when I told them what had happened, their faces went pale. My mom looked like she had seen a ghost.
Isla, your grandmother was a mermaid. She was captured and killed when I was a child. I thought it had skipped you.
So you knew? And you never told me? I wanted to protect you. It all made sense now. The pull I felt toward the ocean, the way I changed whenever I swam too deep. I wasn't just a mermaid. I was the granddaughter of a queen. But before I could even think about what that meant, something else became terrifyingly clear. Someone else knew my secret. The next morning, I found a letter on my windowsill. One sentence written in blood-red ink.
We know what you are, and we're coming for you.
I ran to Kale.
We need to leave.
Leave? Who do you think sent this? He didn't answer right away.
I was hoping they wouldn't find you this soon.
They?
The hunters. They've been tracking our kind for years. My parents were killed by them. That's why I never wanted to talk about what you were becoming. I was trying to protect you.
So they know about me now?
Yes, and if they do, they won't stop until they capture you.
I had just learned that I was a mermaid. I wasn't even sure how to control it. And now I was being hunted. I thought of my family, my life before this. If I had any hope of protecting myself, I had to understand what I was. We need to find others. You said you hadn't seen a mermaid in years, but that means there must be more, right? There have to be others.
There's one place we can try.
That night, we snuck out. The beach was empty. The only sound was the waves crashing against the shore. Kyle led me to a hidden cove surrounded by jagged rocks.
This place is protected. If there are any mermen left, they'll be here.
We swam deeper than ever before, past coral reefs and glowing sea creatures that looked like something out of a dream. Then I saw the mermen. They were waiting for us. One of them, older and broader than the rest, swam forward. His gaze locked onto mine, and his expression changed.
Impossible. A mermaid. After all these years.
She's the granddaughter of Queen Nida.
A heavy silence filled the water. The mermen looked at each other, then back at me with hope.
That means she's the rightful queen.
The leader, who I later learned was named Orion, explained everything.
Your grandmother had ruled over the merfolk before the hunters wiped out most of their kind. When she was captured, the remaining mermen scattered, hiding from the world. Without a queen, they had no way to rebuild. But now, they had you.
I felt sick. I wasn't a queen. I was just a girl who had found out she wasn't human a few days ago. But before I could even argue, Orion's face turned serious.
The hunters will come for you. They know what you are, and they won't stop until you're dead. If you stay on land, they will find you.
I can't just disappear.
You won't have a choice for much longer.
As if on cue, a sound rumbled from above, a low, deep hum that vibrated through the water.
Sonar. They're scanning for us.
What do we do?
Go. Now.
Kyle and I didn't hesitate. We swam back toward shore as fast as we could. A boat was anchored near the shore. Men in dark wetsuits stood at the edge, their faces covered, their weapons strapped to their backs. They found us.
You have to choose, Isla. Stay and fight or run.
My mind raced. There was no way I could go back to my normal life now. Not with the hunters tracking me. But I wasn't ready to give up everything either. I won't run. I need to protect my family. And if I'm really the only mermaid left, I won't let them erase us.
Then we fight. We need to move. Now.
The hunter's boat hovered above us like a silent predator. They weren't just scanning. They were tracking. They won't stop, will they?
Not until you're dead or captured.
That was all I needed to hear. We returned to the hidden cove where Orion and the other warriors were already preparing.
If they're here, they've been watching for a while. We need to lead them into deep waters, where we have the advantage.
Isla and I will be the bait.
Excuse me.
If they're after anyone, it's you, and they think I'm just another human. I can get close without raising suspicion.
It was risky, but I knew Kyle was right. So we surfaced. The moment our heads broke through the water, a bright floodlight blinded me. A man's voice rang out.
Move in.
The boat roared to life, speeding toward us. I could see the hunters clearly now. They weren't just here to capture us, they were ready to kill. The plan was to draw them out into deeper waters where Orion and the others were waiting. They were chasing us. We swam past the coral reefs, past the cliffs. Then a net exploded into the water, heading straight for us. I dodged, twisting just in time, but Kale wasn't fast enough. The weighted ropes tangled around him, dragging him down. Kale! But before I could reach him, a second net shot out, this one aimed at me. I had no time to think. A force surged through my body, raw and electric. My vision sharpened, my muscles tensed, and then a burst of energy shot from my hands, slicing through the water like a shockwave. The nets shredded apart. The hunters barely had time to react before Orion and the others struck. The hunters fought back, but they were outnumbered. One by one, they were dragged into the depths, their weapons useless against the force of the ocean. Their leader was the last one left. He tried to retreat, but before he could, Orion grabbed him down.
It's over.
Not yet.
No! But I was too late. He pressed the button. An explosion ripped through the water. When I opened my eyes, I was on the ocean floor. Debris floated around me. My body ached, my ears were ringing, and for a moment, I couldn't remember what had happened. Then it hit me. The hunters, the explosion. I sat up too fast, my vision spinning. Kale! I turned and there he was, lying a few feet away, motionless. Wake up, please! No response. I closed my eyes, willing the same energy that had saved us before to come back. Then, slowly, beneath my hands, I felt him move. Relief flooded through me. You idiot! Don't ever scare me like that again!
Can't make any promises.
I laughed because if I didn't, I might cry. Orion swam over, his expression grim.
The hunters won't stop.
We make sure they never come back.
Together.
And for the first time since this all began, I wasn't afraid, because I knew exactly who I was. The last mermaid. And I was done running. A week later, after the encounter with the hunters, Kale and I stood before the ancient ruins deep beneath the ocean. A place Orion called the seat of the Forgotten Queen.
This was where the mermaids ruled before the war, before we lost everything.
A figure stood before me, barely visible, like mist in the water. A woman with long, flowing hair and piercing silver eyes. I knew her face. Grandmother!
You've finally come home, Isla. There is something you must know, Isla.
What is it?
You need to find the lost merfolks. They went into hiding when the hunters raided the ocean. You need to find them.
After my encounter with my grandmother's spirit, Orion wasted no time gathering the other mermen.
If there was a hidden city of mermaids, we needed to find it.
We searched for days, following the clues hidden in the ruins, in old legends, in the whispers of the sea. And then, finally, we found them. Hundreds of mermaids alive. They had survived in secret, hidden from the world. And when they saw me, their last queen's descendant, they bowed. I couldn't breathe. I had spent so long fearing what I was, but now, Now I had a purpose and people to rule over. And for the first time, I was ready to be their queen. A week ago, I had been an ordinary girl celebrating her birthday. Now, I was the queen of a lost people. Even though I had accepted my place in the ocean, I knew I couldn't disappear from my old life completely. So I returned home, just for a little while. My parents were waiting for me. When I told them everything, they didn't argue. Instead, my mother hugged me tightly.
I always knew you were special.
And for the first time, I felt whole. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment for more inspiring stories and content.